Why this house is so weird? This house is looking like it is made of darkness only. How can people live here? Do people live here? I never seen this kind of house before. This is made of glass and darkness. Why I'm getting anxious and lonely here. She was sitting on the couch while looking at the stars and moon. The curtains were waving and the cold breeze giving a shiver. There was only the moonlight was shining in the house. She was assuming every corner of the house. It was a huge mansion of joy. Today she came here as a wife of a businessman. She laid her bag down. She was feeling so lonely and sad. Today her stepchildren told her her once mother died when she was 5 years old and father died when she was 2 years old. After her father died, she became words. She was from middle class. She was happy. She never met rich people and don't know about them. Yumi's mother was so rich, so Yumi was also rich. She sold wine because of her husband was a pivot and already eye of wine. So Yumi decided to get rid of her sister. Yumi went to wine met so many times, but in her father's house. Her mother-in-law is such a classic woman. She was refused why she chose wine as a daughter-in-law. She was alone in that big mansion. Maids were not allowed to talk to her. She didn't see him after the ceremony. She was scared but accepted her fate the next morning. She opened her eyes as a maid woke up younger. One sat down and looked at her. Eat something, you must be hungry. One didn't go to but then she saw her mother-in-law. She was sitting in the dining table and having breakfast. She looked at her and stopped. She put her spoon down and believed that you will learn ethics and etiquettes. That maid guided her towards her room. So everything was weird about that house. She entered the room and she got amazed after seeing it. It was a beautiful room with so many windows. It looked at Mrs. Joel every big windows. Her clothes were placed perfectly on. It was a beautiful dress made of silk. She grabbed it and said, "Thank you." After an hour later, she came downstairs and Mrs. Joy was sitting on the couch. She smiled in the corner of her lips and wine stood in front of her. Eat this. She looked at the plate. It was just a little amount of a little piece of food. Now you will eat this because I don't want to see you. You understand? She nodded. And now she was standing between Mrs. Joy at the party. It was the second day of her marriage and her husband was now there. She didn't see me. She was standing in between so many people fell down. She was holding a glass and they sat silently. People around her were laughing and talking. She ignored him and he started walking towards her. He stood beside her and she didn't even look at him. So finally she found a puppet. Well, do you know where is your husband? Finally Mrs. Joy forced her strapped on to marry someone whom she liked. And then Mrs. Joy came towards them. Well, Mrs. Joy, you know what I'm talking about. That's why you came here immediately. She glared at him and ordered one to stand beside her. One restaurant, Mrs. Joy wanted a girl who could pay her. She came back and sat down on the bed. She had a sign because it was such a suffocating day. She didn't want this. She took off her necklace and put it on the bed. Suddenly, he had a drag us from, and she flinched. He looked at her from head to toe. She was feeling so nervous. He turned his gaze and walked in the washroom. This was the first meeting of them. He was looking at like an aggressive man. He came out after an hour later. What was doing for years and she didn't even look at him because she knew that he didn't like her, so she just lay down. He went in the closet and came out after a few minutes. She also later and she felt his fragrance. The shade seemed like it. The next day, now they both were sitting in front of each other while Mrs. Joy was sitting in front. She smiled and how was your next? I looked at her very nice. Like she found that a bit question a little bit uncomfortable. It was good, Mom. Mom, we actually need any yet. She is the pastor smile. We just need a boy, not a girl. He nodded. Man was looking at her with hateful eyes. There was just a boy like in her plate. Man started eating with a fork and knives. The whole time she felt that he was faking everything. It was looking at it like his stepmother, but was doing all this to cut everything. Mrs. Joy was so controlling. She was controlling him. After breakfast, Mom, I'm going to the company now. She smiled. Okay, fine. Was looking at the mini doctor. She looked at Van and grabbed her arm harshly. Don't try to manipulate him, okay? He don't love you and we just need her here. She pushed her in one knee. Mrs. Joy walked out and she sat down on the couch and looked at his house and saw a big frame of him and his stepmother and father. He was the same as his father. His father died years ago. She didn't know anything about him. She was thinking how could he listen her too much so much. Nobody could control their own kid like she was controlling him. She opened it and read it and it was I felt that Mrs. Joy thought she felt that he wrote those lines for her, but a person with brain could feel that those lines was his own mother. She put it back and looked at the old machine. She only felt anxiety, and the first time in her life she wanted someone with her as the night for her heart beating twice. She looked at the road and saw him standing there with the flower. She smiled and I come back. Mrs. Joy also didn't come back. He hugged the pillow and him in the corner of her eyes. I hate you, really. She burst out laughing and then she started running behind her. Because I like to see her reaction, my Nemo. He smiled. They were just 7 years old kids and were best friends. Nemo, why did your parents name you Nemo? I don't like you. My real name is not Nemo. And I don't know my real name. They were giggling and were running happily. Mine was smiling wonderingly, but the person beside her shouting. She opened her eyes and looked at him. He was in so much anger and abusing someone. She turned and rubbed her. She didn't want to wake up because she liked to be with Nemo. He was her best friend. Now she didn't know where he was. Mine was still thinking about that dream. He got up while shouting and walking in the closet. She was him, but today her mood was so good she didn't want to pay attention to him. And now Janko and his stepmother was there talking about business. One was standing with them. Occupied. Money was about to walk out. But Janko left her. He stopped and Mrs. Joe looked at her. He turned and grabbed his laptop and walked out. This was the first time she talked to him. How did you call him by his first name in front of me? Why did you talk to him? I'm sorry, Kripa. So tired, consulting when I know what do you want to do. You want to manipulate him and it will not let. And I will not attend when I will talk to him. I will not talk to him. She left her arm and walked out angrily. Van's eyes filled with tears. And she massaged her arm. She was hurt. She didn't understand why she was behaving like this. She was feeling like she was in prison. She wiped her tears. After her life went on like that, she didn't talk to him and did everything which he ordered. She was a master and boss because she bought her life totally became deadly for her. She lived alone without anything. She sometimes sat on the stairs and think about her life. Mrs. Janko and Mrs. Joy came back together and Mary was sitting in between them. She wanted to sit on the corner in the other corner, but she sat down with her. One go and change if we can going to a party. Janko, you are also. You can also change. Now she was sitting in the car. They both were looking at her. He was so cold and didn't like to talk. She also didn't want to talk to him because of her health. She needed him to talk to him, but given attention. But after leaving him, she realized that he didn't even like it because he never looked at her. She turned her gaze after leaving. In that moment, she realized one thing that Mrs. Joy didn't want him to get attached to her. She was tired of Mrs. Joy's sick bay where the car stopped and they came out of it. She met everyone. It was the relatives of Mrs. Joy. They all were so humble quite a good relationship with them. They sat down on the dining table for the first time. He noticed she was looking so beautiful. He stared at her. She was feeling nervous and they noticed she was eating just a small amount of food. One ate now the dessert was in front of her and he felt like she wanted to eat. So they put the piece of chocolate king in her plate and Mrs. Joy was fully burning in anger. She was about to say something, but her son started fighting. They started abusing each other and started throwing things to each other. For the first time, Ryan saw him happy. He was not smiling but could feel that he was happy after seeing them bonding. Many of his friends trying to separate them, but he was sitting on his seat while eating egg from the plate of Ryan. Too many tourist many joking happened. Now they were sitting in the car and he was talking with someone while laughing. She was laughing. She was looking at him. Suddenly Mrs. Joy entered and he cut the call and became serious. Mrs. Joy was crying. Don't cry, Mommy said. My uncle, I do know. I don't like this. I also don't understand what happened to them suddenly. Yes, I also don't understand. Mine was the most confused person while they drove towards the mansion. But she was very confused. She entered the room with him and sat down on the bed tidy for 2 hours. She met Mrs. Joy twice. She was about looking so tidy. He took off his coat and lay down without changing. She got up and changed her clothes and lay down. There was no conversation between them. He didn't say a word. There was so much in silence between them. He was hiding his true feelings. He looked at him only loved to work. He was fond of making do for sex and worked of them. For weeks one thinking about him and his toxic relationship with his stepmother. The next day, you had so much last day, so you have to work. Winnie gave her all the things. Winnie put the things in front of her. She opened the door of the office and saw him standing beside the chair. He looked at her and used protect for the table in front of him and he was standing there. She looked at him and I came here for cleaning. He frowned and nodded. He was singing while she was cleaning, so they had so many maids. But he didn't say anything after cleaning. He got up and walked out. He was sitting on the chair. He called Binny and why was she working? Her mother ordered her. She said she needs so much larger. She has to work. Okay, you can go. She came here and his uncle is in the office. Why not? She was so surprised. Why don't you tell me? She grabbed her face. You were trying to become innocent in front of him. Want to make me a man? No. Her eyes filled with tears. What are you doing, Mom? He suddenly came out and asked. I'm just asking her some questions. She said she just wanted to do that. Right. She turned her face because her eyes were with tears. Fine. You don't have to clean, okay? Okay, now go by. One started working and he smiled. Mrs. Joy didn't want to show Jango that she favored with Van. She thought that he would not like it, even though he never talked about it. And she knew him. Actually, his father gave him his everything to Mrs. Joy as he was not in his senses. But she wanted to get back, so he was trying to manipulate her. One was laying on the bed while he was out of the mansion. It was in the middle of the night, and she was not at home. Mrs. Joy went to a party and about her and her husband. She didn't know where he was. She just didn't care about anyone because of fear. She wanted someone. 6 months later, I was sitting on the couch looking at the beautiful sky, but now she used to live like this. She was waiting for them. He entered while holding her. He had a little accident and walked towards him. Boldly, she helped him to sit down on the couch. He was facing. There was a scar on his head. She didn't know Mrs. was in her. She stood and watched them. He put her hand on his forehead and massage. She was doing that. He needs to go to the check. Doctor, the button of his upper brought up and his hair was messed up. Mrs. was never saw him like that before. After that, they came back and he was sleeping. He had a little brain injury. One was waiting for a week. She took care of him even though Mrs. provided the beds. For him, now she came out of the room. Mrs. knew that he was not in his right mind, so one stopped and looked at her. Come here. What do you want to just slap Russia? I mean, why don't you leave him and come back? You wanted to make him leave so that he would stand and guess you don't try to do this, I will destroy you. But I didn't do this. She said her campus when she grabbed her and again slapped her. Actually, Mrs. Webb was afraid her uncle would change and asked her to give his everything back. She was scared that he would start to react aggressively in front of him. She controlled him for many and that's why she didn't let him marry the girl he loved. She always said that she would decide a girl for him and he agreed. That's why she bought wine. She bought it his man. She thought that wine was doing this just now, but she was getting a anger, frustration, and wine. She started to beat her as much as he can, and wine was crying and more. He opened his eyes and sat down. He grabbed his medicine and was about to take it, but then he heard sobs. He frowned and got up. He walked towards the closet and opened the door, and then he saw her sitting on the floor holding her hair with so many scars on her body. Who did this? We walked towards him and she stabbed her. Nobody just fell from the ears and come. Get curious, tell me who did this. Did mom do this? No. One, tell me the truth, or I have many ways, tell me. She got my hands and weighed me. She said, while her tears were falling, he accepted this from her. Because she was always under control, he wanted to control people around her. She was about to go out, but she grabbed his hand. Where are you going? Please don't say anything. So he looked at her and her condition was so worse. He wiped her tears. Just wait and see what I will do to her. She will lose the power to touch you. And then he hugged her as a husband. He felt that one was going through much. He added that they both were going through the same thing just because of his father says he was patting her back. Don't cry. Why didn't that he was this much kind? She hugged him back. The next day he came to the office even though he wasn't fully recovered. He just wanted to get rid of his stepmother. Now his son was sitting on the chair while he was standing. It's so difficult to do this. He has so much power. I don't care, just want to get everything. She knew that I was the main here, so she did everything so cleverly, and now I can't bear her behavior anymore. She started to hurt my wife. Your wife saw you because of her. You want to get rid of Mrs. Joy. Think whatever you want, I just do what I'm saying. Okay, Nick was the hacker. A week later. One was sitting in bed looking at herself. Mrs. Joy literally gave her a bob cut after that. She went to the stars and got a new good cut. Now she was liking Mrs. Joy was out and she was alone and the admission was made. My maid was in the seventh corner. One was waiting for me. He entered. He looked at her and she got up. She sat down beside him. He was thinking about Mrs. Joy and she was thinking what him. He called Mrs. Joy and asked her to come back. Immediately she was confused. He was looking in so much anger. She didn't utter a voice after what it. Mrs. Joy came back and then the first started. You made that company. Oh, what my dad did everything. You are no one. One was watching them with fear because he never witnessed himself a fight before the door were high and harsh. Even the maids were watching them. Suddenly he grabbed her hand and now put everything aside. How dare you to beat my wife? You have no right. So you did this for your life. If this hurts your ashes, then yes. Now get out. And finally, after so many years, I got my back. Everything. Now you will no longer control me. You think that you will live happily. After this, I will destroy your sweet home which you want to create. One was shocked because he never thought that he would do this. He looked at her and did you know? Let's sit. He grabbed her and he walked towards the dining table while holding her hand. They sat down and now she could eat everything. After that party, my sister never stubborn because of Django. She always wanted to look sweet in front of him. He didn't ask her before about her behavior with wine because he wanted to throw her out sweetly. Now she was standing in the closet happily money and at fast and finally after 1 year he started to behave so well with her. She was happy that nobody put strictness on her. She was in her imagine, but suddenly he acted from behind. Her heart skipped a beat as she felt his body turned her towards him and leaned towards him and cupped her face. This hair suit cut suits you. She smiled, and then the next day he opened her His eyes as his cell phone was singing like as he picked up the call and man came out of the closet. He sat in front of him on the call. I can't come today. He cut the guy without letting the caller completely crash. They both lived together. They both were so attracted to each other. So he kicked you out. Yes, I will do everything to destroy me. Forgot me. Yes, aunt. 1 week later, this is Sutra. He sat while looking at the necklace, smiled and nodded. Norik was not happy with his relationship with Wyatt. He looked at him and Janku. Do you really want to live in this marriage? Yes. Do you forget about that? I don't want to talk about that. One was sitting on the couch while watching a movie. She was fully enjoying her life. He entered and saw her. He walked towards her and as she got up. Janku, she hugged him and but he gave her a pause. They started to live like a happy and rich couple. No one in between them who would separate them, so they were so happy together. 6 months later, while Janku was standing and holding the purse, he was talking to his friend on the cell phone. I want to give her a surprise. She thought that I don't know about the surprise which she wanted to give me, but I instead I will give her. Tell her about us. She suddenly entered and he looked at her. She walked into the room. What are you doing here? I'm missing so much. You didn't come last month, so I decided to give you a surprise. Ellie, why don't you just leave me alone? He said angrily. I just cannot miss you. I can't forget about that beautiful idea enough. Why, Chunk? Why aren't you ready to accept this? We both love each other. Why did she become so important to you? She walked towards him. Why don't you tell her? Don't you tell her? Well, oh, I can't live without you. I have to spend this night with you, and you know that. But I tell her everything. But he was so shocked and didn't know what to do. Well, on the other hand, Mom was preparing a surprise for him. She put the pregnancy test in the box. She was waiting for him, but suddenly her mother-in-law entered. She and smiled. What are you doing here? I came here to give you a surprise. What surprise are you ready to listen about the dark truth of your sweet husband? Yes, your husband has a secret relationship with one of his in-laws. He wanted to marry her, but you didn't let him. Now he's in a relationship with her. They both are together. Okay, but why watch this video? Do you remember when he came after getting into an accident? His hair was messy. It was because of her. She came to meet him in the house behind her back. He's sitting on it, but you are so dumb. You just fell for his sweet baby. Why don't you all ask him why he spent 4 hours after completing his work? Girls are always dumb for a man's sweet soft. He laughed. If you can't believe me, then I will tell you.